Grammar basics, vocabulary. Parts of speech. We're going to take a look at these first. The four main parts of speech are nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. Nouns are people, places, things, and ideas. They do not need to be concrete or tangible. Love, hope, despair, anger, theory, thought, faith, all these are examples of ideas, and they are nouns. Verbs convey action, or a state of being or existence. Some verbs, specifically helping verbs, also known as auxiliary verbs, are used to change the verb's tense. Verbs take different forms depending on their tense, past, future, or present, their number, singular or plural, and their duration. Simple, perfect, continuous, perfect continuous. Continuous is also known as progressive. So some examples of verbs: run, jog, dance, think, be, am, might, have, should, will, may, ought, were, was, must, shall, would, can. And so not all of these are actions. Some of them kind of just show existence, such as was, and others kind of help other verbs like shall. Adjectives are words that modify or tell us more about nouns. Pretty kitty. Pretty tells us more about the kitty. Happy puppy. Happy tells us more about the puppy. Old house. Old tells us more about the house. Adverbs modify verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. They answer when and how, as well as what kind, about other words. So quickly, often, rarely, never, not are all examples of adverbs. And hot pink, hot is modifying pink. So it's an adverb modifying the adjective pink. Pale blue tells us what kind of blue, pale blue. Incredibly quickly. How quickly? Incredibly quickly. Now we'll take a look at prepositions, interjections, and conjunctions. Prepositions are words that introduce phrases and show relationship or location of a noun or a verb with that phrase. And so it always refers to something that is not part of that prepositional phrase. So, in the garden. It's telling us something or some person is in the garden. I walked in the garden. Where did I walk? In the garden. Next to the door. Next is the preposition. On my own. On is the preposition. To my brother. To is a preposition. For you. For is a preposition. To the moon. Under the bed. You get the idea. Interjections are words that show excitement or affection. And to quote Schoolhouse Rocks, they're usually set apart from a sentence by an exclamation point or by a comma when the feeling's not as strong. So some examples would be, ouch, yes, aw, drats, oh, I love it. Conjunctions are words that conjoin words, phrases, and clauses. There are 7 coordinating conjunctions, and they are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. And they can be remembered using the acronym and mnemonic device fanboys. So these coordinating conjunctions are used to combine words and independent clauses. There are also subordinating conjunctions, and these are used to join phrases or dependent clauses to the rest of the sentence. And there are many of these. So some examples. Rather than do my homework. Rather is a subordinating conjunction. Despite the weather. Despite is a subordinating conjunction. Because it rained. Because is a subordinating conjunction. Although I want to. Although is a subordinating conjunction. So articles and pronouns, these are officially parts of speech. I personally don't think they ought to be their own part of speech because they don't really function that way. Articles such as a, and, the, this, and that always precede and modify nouns. So they're really just a type of adjective. They answer the question, which one, about a noun. The grumpy cat. The is an article, but it's really just modifying cat. It's telling us which cat, the cat. An apple a day. An is telling us about apple. Specifically, it's telling us how many. If you were to substitute an with the number 3, 3 apples, 3 would be an adjective. So an is really just acting like an adjective. A day, 1 day. And then there are pronouns. Pronouns also, they don't even, within the group of pronouns, not all of them have the same function as each other. So, for example, pronouns can be nouns, they can be adjectives, and they can even be adverbs. My chair. My is a pronoun. It's modifying the word chair, which is a noun, so it's really just acting as an adjective. I went to the store. I is being a noun. He loves me. He and me are both pronouns. They're both acting like nouns. This book is mine. Mine is a noun. I did it myself. In this sentence, myself, that's a pronoun. And it's modifying did. It's how did I do it? Myself. And so it's actually being an adverb. So now let's take a look at the components of a sentence. Now, with the parts of speech, those are talking about individual words. Components of a sentence is saying how are these individual words, based on what type of part of speech they are, how are they functioning within a sentence? And so there are 5 possible functions within a sentence. So a word can be part of the predicate, or part of the subject. It can be object of the sentence, it can be a subject complement, and it can also be an object complement. So, the subject is the main noun or nouns of the sentence that performs the action. A simple subject contains just the nouns only. A complete subject includes any words or phrases that also modify the noun or the nouns. The predicate is the verb or verbs of the sentence. A simple predicate is just the verbs. A complete predicate includes all words and phrases that modify the verb or the verbs. An object is a noun that receives the action of the verb. It answers the question what or whom after the verb, and we'll see examples of these below. A subject complement is a noun or adjective in a sentence with a linking verb that more or less just renames the subject. So some examples. You seem nice. Nice is the subject complement. It's renaming the subject, you. You equals nice. My dad is a dentist. Dentist is a subject complement. It's simply renaming my dad. My dad equals dentist. This smells gross. Gross is the subject complement. This equals gross. There are also object complements, which really are slightly more confusing and more complex. We're not going to include them in our basics lesson. So, to identify subject, predicate, object, let's look at this sentence. The stroller and the diaper bag were blocking the hallway. The bold section, the stroller and the diaper bag. This is our complete subject. It's made up of the simple subjects stroller and bag. But it also includes all of the words that modify stroller and bag. The stroller and the diaper for bag. And is connecting them together to show that they're both performing the same action. So the predicate of this sentence is we're blocking the hallway. That is the complete predicate, what I've underlined there. We're blocking the hallway. We're blocking, those 2 verbs make up the simple predicate. And the object of the sentence is hallway. And the is modifying the object, hallway. Now let's take a look at clauses and phrases. So a clause is a group of words that contains a subject and a predicate. They can be independent, meaning they're capable of standing alone as a sentence, or they can be dependent, meaning they require an independent clause to join up with to form a sentence. And they need the independent clause because they don't have a complete thought. So, for our examples, before you go, please turn off the light. Before you go has a subject and it has a predicate. You go. But it's not a complete thought. Before you go, you're just kind of waiting for more. So that's a dependent clause. Please turn off the light. Now, turn off, that's our predicate, that's our verb. This clause kind of appears at first glance not to have a subject, and that's because it is in second person. It's direct address. It's a command, it's a request. And so the subject of the sentence is the implied you. Hey, you, please turn off the light. And so in any time that you have a sentence that is a command or a request and is in second person, you don't need a written subject because it's implied that the subject is you. The next example, I made chicken because it is your favorite. I made chicken. It has a subject, I. It has a predicate, made. And it's a complete thought, I made chicken. So that's an independent clause. Because it is your favorite. It is the subject, is the predicate, but it's not a complete thought. Because it is your favorite, we're missing something. We're missing some information. You can see with the two dependent clauses there, before you go, because it is your favorite, they start with these sort of transition-y words. Those transition-y words, if you remember from earlier, are subordinating conjunctions. So a phrase is two or more words that do not include a subject and a predicate. So a phrase can't be a clause. And there are many types of phrases. I'm not going to go into them here because this is just for basics. And a phrase always goes within a clause. So, for example, please turn off the light in the hall. That is a whole independent clause. It's a whole complete sentence. And in the hall is a phrase within that clause. All right, there's another concept we're going to look at is verbals. Now, verbals are words that look like a verb and come from a verb, but are used as a different part of speech. So the first kind are gerunds. Gerunds are ing words that are used as nouns or adjectives. More officially, they are present participles used as nouns or adjectives instead of as verbs. So I like swimming. Swimming is normally a verb, but here we're using it as a noun. It is what you like to do. The swimming pool is closed today. Swimming here is being used as an adjective. It's telling us what kind of pool. The next type of verbals are infinitives. These are two verbs that are used as nouns. So I like to swim. To swim right there is being used as a noun. And when you see infinitives, you're always going to see them to plus the verb. So it's two words acting as one. The last type of verbal are participles. And participles are past participles of a verb that are used as adjectives. They typically end with ed, but not always. So I sat behind the wheel of a rusted old truck. Rust, or to rust, for something to get rusty, is normally a verb. Here we're using it to describe the truck. The worn rug showed years of use. To wear something out, the past participle of that is worn. And so right there, it's normally a verb, and it is acting as an adjective telling us about the rug. So that is all we have for our grammar basics for vocabulary. This is going to be really helpful for the one about punctuation and the one about common mistakes. because I'm going to be using this terminology to help you better understand why rules are the way that they are. So I hope this was clear. Good luck grammaring.